Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Corpse Flood's Game Flood. Uh, as we draw near to the holiday season, the pickups are going to start slowing down, but before that, I've got quite a few to show you today, so we'll get right into it. My birthday was recently, and in my last video I got a couple of my gifts early, such as Gears of War 4 and a couple other games. But on the actual day of my birthday, my brother gave me Battlefield 1. He knows I'm a huge Battlefield fan, and I usually try to pick those up pretty close to the launch date. Unfortunately, the day before my birthday, my Xbox Live ran out, so I'm not able to play it online. I've been enjoying the campaign a lot, but my original plan was to let my Xbox Live just run out till Christmas, and then that'd be an idea for somebody to get for me, or I would just pick it up afterwards. But with getting Battlefield 1, it's a real temptation to just pick up at least a 3-month card or something like that so I can play some of this with him or anybody else, honestly. But I think I'm going to try and hold fast on waiting till Christmas. So maybe I'll beat the campaign and then let him borrow it until I can get my Xbox Live rolling again. Next up, I got a little gift for myself because I couldn't help it. But the day that the NES Classic Edition came out, I had to pick one up because I saw immediately that they were selling out and they were going fast and people were scalping hard for them. So I definitely picked it up. I was planning on picking it up anyway. Just thinking maybe waiting a little while, with Christmas coming up and stuff like that. Maybe just asking for one, but with seeing how crazy people went over it, I was like, alright, I'm just going to pick it up now. Luckily, I got to use one of my, working at Walmart at Christmas time, they give you an extra 10% off 3 separate items if you want. And so I used one of my discount coupons on that and the controller. They let me bundle it together. And I ended up getting it for almost 30% off retail. So instead of scalper price, I paid, insider price. It was awesome. So happy to have that. It was really cool. I love everything about it except this. What the hell is this? I don't care how little you are, you need more than 2 feet of cord. I don't care if you're 2 feet tall. The thing works amazing. It's a good selection of games. The 30 games is pretty solid. But the 2 feet of cord is almost unforgivable. You have to sit on the floor. I don't know if they're trying to recreate the 80s feel of sitting on the floor right in front of the TV, but that's about the only part of the nostalgia I don't need to be part of. I was really looking forward to sitting on my couch and playing this, but I instead just sat on my floor or laid on my floor until I didn't want to anymore, and then I ended up turning it off. So it actually limited my enjoyment, but if there's one thing I can recommend, Hyperkin sells these extension cords for the controllers on this, and definitely pick up some if you grab this thing, unless you're sitting 2 feet from your monitor or TV that you're playing it on, because it's kind of lame. I do like some of the stuff it came with, though. It came with this really cool poster, kind of reminiscent of the posters that used to come with the NES. But I like the look of it. It's really cool. I think I'm gonna frame that and put it on my wall. Anyway, it's a really cool little thing. Definitely don't pay scalper price for it. I mean, if you're gonna go crazy and pay that much, $150 plus, you might as well just pick up an actual NES, and you could get most of those games for probably under that. It's ridiculous that people are actually paying that amount for a thing that's not even rare. They're just short on launch, just like all the consoles. I don't get why people scalp the consoles right when they come out. Like, just wait a couple weeks, it'll be way easier to find it. Don't buy into these scalper things. If people stop buying into the scalper business, they would have no business. Just if anyone could show a slight amount of patience, it would be amazing. Anyway, enough about that rant. Next up is my favorite part of the hobby. A couple trades, some things people gave me. We'll start off first in the spirit of the last thing I picked up. I did a trade with one of my local collector friends here, and he gave me a poster that came with an NES. It's pretty sweet. It's got a picture of a whole bunch of the good classic games on it. So, and on the back, in case I need help, it's got how to set up your NES system. Honestly, if I didn't know that by now, the NES wouldn't be for me. But it's an awesome poster. I think I'm going to frame the two of those, probably put them close together in the room. I think it'll look really cool. It'll tie the room together really nicely. A couple other things I got from him in our trade. There's actually a couple of small trades. I got another copy of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. What I would say is my second favorite game of all time. I'm always glad to get another copy of that. That's actually not the copy I got. I've actually traded it away, but I put it in there as like a place mark to remember that that was part of the trade. The one I got had a little bit more label wear on it, but yeah, it was a really good condition copy besides that, so that was a cool trade. And part of that, I also got a Wii game, Secret Files Tunguska, which from what I understand is a kind of point and click mystery game. It looks pretty cool. It's made by Deep Silver, who also made the Dead Island series, so that might be cool. Hopefully there's some quality to that. And another game I got from him, PS2 game, I got Digimon World 4. My kids have been just into these Digimon VHS tapes that I've got, really old ones, and they just watch them over and over. There's like 1 or 2 episodes on the tapes, and they've just been watching them. So when I saw that he had that and he was willing to trade it, I figured I'd pick it up and see if the girls take an interest in the game. Hopefully they do. They were pretty excited when they saw it, so I'll have to get it set up for them and see how they like it. It's probably going to be a little tough for them, but you know, I'll help them through it. Next up, talking to a lady I know, and she mentioned that she had a couple extra NES games and asked if I had them, and I wasn't quite sure. First one was WrestleMania, and I knew there was a couple WrestleMania games for the NES, and I had to check, and she just ended up dropping it by with this other game that I definitely didn't have, and that's Tiny Toon Adventures. She saw one of my recent unboxings I did for one of my retro video game boxes, and she saw that my wife really liked the Animaniacs, and she's like, oh, then she's gonna love Tiny Toons. So that, I'm not sure if that's quite a present for me. It might actually just be a present for my wife, but you know, we'll all enjoy it. Next up, I got a bunch of doubles recently in that big game store lot that I got. And I wanted to trade a bunch of them away because, you know, some of them are good traders and a lot of them are meh games or games that I already had. So I brought them down to the local pawn shop guy and just traded whatever I could get for some games I actually didn't have. So first up, I got a DS game, and that's Professor Layton and the Diabolical Box. I got another 1 or 2 of the Professor Layton games, and they're alright, and they seem to be pretty popular, so I figured time to check them out. A couple other games are pretty common games, but games I didn't have nonetheless, at least in this respect. I got Jak 2. I actually have the Jak and Dexter collection, so I technically have that, but I like to have the games in their original format as well. And also SOCOM US Navy SEALs. I actually don't have the first one. I have, I think, all the other ones, but including the PSP games, so I figured might as well pick this one up. It's pretty common too, like I said, but you know, I didn't have it, and I really didn't intend to go out of my way for it, but a lot of the games I traded were just like, whatever, take whatever, and I'll describe whatever I don't have. It wasn't really, it was kind of slim pickings, but I got a couple other cool games here. Well, I don't know how I define cool with this one, but I had to pick it up anyway. And that's B-Boy for PS2. When I saw this game, all I thought was how much I wanted to dance battle one of my buddies in this game. So I was like, alright, I'm picking it up. I don't care if it's terrible or not. I have to play this with somebody. So I'm hoping I can goad one of my friends into playing this with me so we can dance battle each other and see who gets served. I think it's ridiculous. And next up, what I think is probably the best game, or the one I'm most excited to play, besides B-Boy with the friend, is World Destruction League Thunder Tanks. Pretty cool looking 3DO game, and kind of pricey from what I saw when I looked it up. I don't know, I like tank battling games and vehicle battling games in general, so I'm sure I'll have fun with that. Moving on, a couple Facebook deals I did. Some guy was selling PS3 games for $5 each. I had most of them, but I actually decided to get back a game that was lent out and never came back, and that is Ratchet and Clank: Tools of Destruction. I always liked the Ratchet and Clank games. My little brother actually got me into them. It seemed like a kiddie game, and he bought it for PS2. My PS2 I used to have that he used to borrow all the time, and I ended up playing it once, and after watching him play it, and I really got into it. And since then, I've been kind of a big fan of the Ratchet and Clanks, and I brought my kids to the movie this summer, and we all enjoyed that, so that was pretty cool. I'll have to pick up that game next. It's actually going cheap now, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. Next up, I technically have these games, but I didn't have them like this, so I got Castlevania Collection, the Lords of Shadow Collection, sorry, and it comes with Lords of Shadow 1, Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate HD, and a demo for Lords of Shadow 2. But I have all that stuff for 360, but I thought, cool, I like Castlevania enough. I definitely want it on PS3. And the first Lords of Shadow was a pretty amazing game. The second one was a pretty big letdown, but not as bad as some of the other 3D Castlevanias, so not too bad. Next up, I got one that I've been kind of hoping to come across for a while, and actually haven't. I came across it a while ago at a garage sale a friend of mine was putting on. And I went to this garage sale. She's like, yeah, show up to my garage sale. There's some games. I was like, oh yeah, cool. I was in such a rush. I went, and I didn't even bring my wallet. And she's like, oh, whatever, man. Just pick out a couple games, and I'll put them aside for you, and you can pay me later or tomorrow or whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. So I put away this game and a couple other games. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I know this was definitely one of them, and I'm happy to find it. And that's Red Dead Revolver, especially with them announcing Red Dead Redemption 2. I really wanted to go back and play through this again and remember more about it. Red Dead Redemption is still pretty fresh in my memory, but I'd like to do a run through of both these games again before 2 comes out, because Red Dead Redemption was one of the greatest games of the last gen. I was a really big fan of it. Definitely better than the Grand Theft Autos that came out last gen, so yeah, super happy to find that. That was top of my list, but it wasn't really a game I was going to order online or anything, so happy to have that. Next up, some more Facebook stuff. Got a bunch of Game Boy Advance and Game Boy games. First up is Sonic Advance and Sonic Pinball Party. Classic NES series, Legend of Zelda. I've got all the Zelda games, but not in every format, so that's actually a Zelda game I guess I didn't have. I wasn't really rushing out to get these. I've got every Zelda game except for Zelda 2 on Game Boy Advance and Link's Awakening DX. DX I should have by now, honestly, with Link's Awakening being the first game I ever owned, but I'm not really in a big rush to get it. Next up, I got Crash Bandicoot Purple, Ripto's Rampage, which I believe is a crossover with Spyro, so that's pretty cool. I know they did a couple of those on the Game Boy Advance. Next up, I got Rayman, Hoodlum's Revenge. Love the Rayman games. And a game I actually never heard of until I saw it there. Yoshi's Topsy Turvy. Weird shaped cartridge, so I'm sure it's got some kind of gyroscope in it or something for tipping I don't know, it looks like I gotta tip the Game Boy to play it. So, I don't know. Interesting game nonetheless. And last, the only original Game Boy game I got from there, Bonk's Adventure. I mean, too bad it wasn't the NES version, but it's a game nonetheless that I enjoy. I like playing the TurboGrafx one from time to time, so this will be cool to take with me on the go. I've been trying to get more Game Boy Advance stuff. I just kind of slack on it sometimes, so it's nice to pick up some new ones once in a while. Moving along with the Facebook deals, we got a GameCube game and a bunch of GameCube games and one Wii game. First up, the Wii game I got was Red Steel 2. Pretty decent game. I liked Red Steel 1, so hopefully that is at least as good as Red Steel 1, but hopefully better. And the next is a deal from all the same stuff as from the same deal as the Red Steel 2. I got a copy of Resident Evil 0, which I already had, but the price they were asking for it, I was not going to pass that up. And also Resident Evil 1, a game I actually didn't have. I've got, I believe, all of the Resident Evils for GameCube now, except maybe Code Veronica. I'm pretty sure I still need that one. And the last game I got was just a disc-only copy of Wind Waker. But $3 each, I was grabbing all of those. So, can't go wrong there. Next up, about a day or two before that deal, I snagged some other GameCube games. It was a pretty good month for GameCube. First up, I got Pokemon Coliseum, which is an upgrade on my previous version. I think it was missing the manual and the disc was a little bit scuffed. It still worked, but it was good to get a little bit of an upgrade. And the next up, I got Def Jam Vendetta and Def Jam Fight for New York, which is a pretty pricey game. Just about any console you buy it on. So I was happy to get that. Def Jam Vendetta is actually considered to be a spiritual successor to No Mercy, WWF No Mercy on the N64, which is widely considered as one of the greatest wrestling games of all time, and I'd have to agree because I've played just about all of them. So just about anybody will have that in their top 3, I'm sure. That's played it anyway. And moving right along. In the summer, I took my family to the movies, and we all just walked because it was a nice day. And on the way to the theater, there's actually a video store, just a locally owned video store, and went in just to pass the time because we were about half hour early for the movie, and it was just down the block. So we stopped in there, and I noticed they had a bunch of GameCube games and old Xbox and PS2 games, and I was like, man, I wish they'd sell some of these GameCube games. They're pretty sweet. And then I went to ask, but the manager or the owner or whatever wasn't in, so I just didn't bother. I was like, oh, they're probably not selling them. If they're not selling them yet, they'll probably wait a while. And then I caught wind that they were actually putting them up for sale. They posted on one of the local buy-sell groups, so it was pretty close to the end of their day at the store where they closed. So I was there the next day when they opened up. Thankfully, they opened at noon, so I didn't have to get up super early or nothing. And I got there pretty early. I don't think I really missed out on much. I missed out on a few Mario parties, unless they decided not to sell those. Like maybe the owner kept them and enjoyed them or something. But from what I saw during the summer, that was about all that was missing. Alright, we'll get right into it anyway. First up, there was a random display box for Super Mario Advanced 4. Mario Bros. 3, and I actually have that game, so that was cool. It's as you can see, it's a for display only box, and it's not really too faded or anything. It was just kind of hanging from the ceiling. I was like, you mind if I have that? You don't have any Game Boy Advance games? And they're like, oh yeah, sure, go ahead. So anyway, that's the small potatoes of that. Next up is a beautiful GameCube Bounty with a few other things at the bottom there. Starting up, I got Legend of Spyro, A New Beginning. Rampage, Total Destruction. Love the Rampage games. I gotta get the N64 one still. Mario Superstar Baseball. But the only sports games I like are the Mario ones or Mutant League or Mega Man Soccer. Next up, another one I'm happy to have. Star Wars Jedi Outcast. Jedi Knight 2, leaving me with only the second part of that trilogy to buy because I just got Dark Forces for my birthday, and this is part 3 of the series about the same character. So I'm sure that other one isn't very expensive. I think this one is more of a costly game than that one. So that's cool to get out of the way, especially on the GameCube. Next up, I got Freedom Fighters, which I think I've played before, and I remember it being pretty awesome, and I've also seen it in a couple of hidden gem videos, so definitely looking forward to sinking my teeth into that. And next are the two of the games that I was really hoping were still there. Like, I couldn't sleep the night before going, oh man, I hope they're there. I've been wanting these games for a while. And the first one is Gauntlet Dark Legacy. I love the Gauntlet games. I think that's the last one I needed. I have the PS2 ones, I have the NES ones, so I'm not sure how many there is. I'd actually have to look, but all the ones I know about I have now. And next up, another Star Wars title. I got Bounty Hunter. I got this one for PS2, and it's a pretty sweet game, but I've always wanted it for the GameCube. If it's out on the GameCube, basically that's the version I would prefer, because I want to beef up my GameCube collection. I've got a pretty decent one going now, but yeah, if it's on GameCube, I want the GameCube one, even if I've got it on PS2 or Xbox, the original Xbox. Next up, a bunch of games I already had, but for the price they were asking for these games, I snagged them up. First up, Luigi's Mansion, Wario World, Star Fox Assault, WWF WrestleMania 19, what I consider the best wrestling game on the GameCube. Everyone's all about the Day of Reckonings, and they are good, but I say WrestleMania 19 is by far the coolest one. It's got a really cool creator-wrestler, and the storyline is complete bananas. Not to really spoil anything, but the beginning of the storyline, you are the champion automatically, no matter what character you are. And McMahon takes the belt and fires you, and the whole story mode is you like basically being sour about it and screwing over his plans for WrestleMania. Like, there'll be the mall where they're putting up like WrestleMania banners and stuff to promote WrestleMania, and you go in there and like break the signs, and then random wrestlers come in the mall and fight you, and then they're building the arena, and you actually go to the construction site and beat up random innocent construction workers and like throw them off the girders and stuff, apparently murdering them because you want your championship belt back. It's just bonkers. I absolutely love the game. With you being a vandal and them sending wrestlers after you, a lot of it's handicap matches, but it's so fun. I absolutely had a riot playing that game, and every time I think about it, I gotta play it again. So now I gotta play it again. Next up, another game I was speaking about, WWF Day of Reckoning 2. I know people who basically have been looking for a bunch of these games, so they're pretty much traded right away. Awesome games, all of them. So I knew they'd go somewhere to a happy home, and the video store is only asking $5 each, so really, how could I say no to that? And a couple of the games they did put up, unfortunately they didn't put up all their PS2 and all their original Xbox. They kind of just put mostly crap, honestly, and a lot of the ones I was hoping they'd sell, they didn't. I did, however, get a couple decent games here. First one being Spartan Total Warrior. I've always wanted to play this. I remember when it came out, and I just never really seen it anywhere. So now I guess I get to give it a try. Next up, another one I always wanted to try, and I seen it in a recent pickups video from the Game Grinder, and I was like, oh man, I really got to pick that up. Especially the description he gave it, and that is Dark Watch. Capcom game, and Capcom's usually pretty decent, so looking forward to that. And then the last game I got from there was Kingdom Under Fire: The Crusaders. Absolutely no idea about this one. I have another Kingdom Under Fire game, and it was pretty fun, so that's enough for me to give this one a try. And then a couple other random little tidbits I got. On one of the buy-sell groups, I saw something not game related, but I also really had to have it, and that was this sweet Transformers TV tray from my childhood. I remember wanting one when they came out, but I don't think I had one. I might have had one and it got wrecked because I was really little, but I don't believe I did. So it was really cool. She had it up for $5 and I was like, I'll take it. And then when I went there, whenever I buy anything, I always ask anybody, like, you got any old video game stuff? Especially when I see, vintage 80s stuff, thinking maybe they got a Nintendo they don't give a crap about. And then she's like, yeah, I got a bunch of stuff. Actually, a bunch of it's at my mom's, but I'll definitely dig it out for you. And she's like, as far as what I've got at the house, I've got this stuff. And she brings out a bunch of original Xbox controllers, a media remote, and all the hookups. Basically everything except the Xbox. So that was pretty cool. And I said, well, how much would you want for that? And she says, I don't really care. You can have it. And I kind of, she knows me, but I can't place where I know her from. Maybe she just knows my parents or something. But she's a very super nice lady. I bought something else from her not too long ago. What was it? I don't know. I think something else 80s related anyway. And she actually gave me a couple of books for my girls to read because she thought, she knew I had young kids, so she thought, yeah, your kids would really enjoy these books, and they really did. So super nice lady. And she says, yeah, if I find the other stuff, I'll send it your way because I know you and the kids will enjoy it. So I'm hoping for a pretty awesome score coming up soon, so stay tuned to that. And the last thing before I go, I finally got the last two amiibos that I really care about. I was not willing to order them or pay 1 cent more than they were worth at my store where I can get a discount. And my patience paid off. It took about 2 years for Nintendo to catch up apparently, but they've started restocking the hard to find amiibos, and I finally got Lucina and Robin from Fire Emblem. Huge Fire Emblem fan. Not really that big of a fan of amiibos, but where else are you going to find Fire Emblem figures and stuff? So, very happy to get those, add them to my modest amiibo collection. And there's only a few others I'd be like, I'd like, but I'm not really. I actually wait till they go on sale. Like that's how much I don't really care. I mean, there's one I kind of really want, but I don't even know why I really want it. I really want Waluigi. I think he just came out, and we have a bunch of copies of him. And I'm like, yeah, I'll probably throw him in with groceries one day when I get him or something, because for some reason he's like my favorite Mario character. Just he's not used in anything. I just love the thought of it. Anyway, that's about it for today, and stay tuned. We'll have some pretty cool stuff around the holiday season, I'm sure, with all the cool stuff coming out. And we'll catch you next time. Game hard.